Why, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Truly Odd podcast, where we bring you the latest in game news and movie news. I am your host, Joe Garcia. So grab your controllers, get your popcorn, and let's go ahead and dive right on into these topics, shall we? Starting with our first game news topic of the day. And our first game news topic of the day is regarding Mixtape has been delayed till 2026. The developer says the game is almost complete, but not quite yet. Go ahead and take a look at this article from Game Informer. Excuse me, guys. I have a bit of a throat issue today. Hold on, let me adjust this a little bit so we can see the whole thing there. There we go. All right, guys, let's go ahead and take a look at this. It looks like Beethoven and Dinosaur confirmed that their 1990 set coming to age game Mixtape won't launch in 2025 as planned, citing publisher citing final polish work. Forgive me, guys. Published by Annapurna Interactive. Mixtape follows teen Stacy Rockford and her friends through a playable vintage inspired by cherished memories and mixtape culture. The game features Spider Verse style animation and music from artists like Dev Devvo. I think that's how you say that. Anyways, Joy Division and Smashing Pumpkins, with a release planned for PS5, Xbox Series S and X, and PC. If you guys want to check out the trailer to this, it'll be in the link on this article in the description down below. But it does look like an interesting game, and it's just a long list of other games that we got delayed, besides like Grand Theft Auto, uh, Marvel's 1943, Rise of Hydra, and now this game are being delayed. And I just think that this holiday season's you really find out if you're gonna have make your release date for this holiday season or early in 2025. So, or sorry, 2026. So right now is the time to push, especially with all the holidays, and it'll kind of get mixed in the excuse me, guys, mixed in the news cycle as everything tends to come out. So that's generally when we get most of our delays and stuff announced. That being said, guys, let me know what you think about this delay. Are you sad to see that you're not going to be able to play it till probably early 2026 sometime? Were you guys looking forward to this game, and does this game interest you guys at all? Let me know. Excuse me, guys. A bit of a throat issue. My apologies. Anyways, moving on to our next game news topic. And our next game news topic is regarding Todd Howard says the Elden Ring. Oh, excuse me. Elder Scrolls 6 is still long ways off despite the years of development it's already had. Let's go ahead and take a look here at this article from IGN. They have a bit of a breakdown. If you guys want to take a look at this video for yourselves, feel free to go ahead and check that out. Again, it'll be in the description down below. But Bethesda's Todd Howard confirms that Elder Scrolls, I keep saying Elden Ring for some reason, but confirms that Elder Scrolls 6 remains a far from release despite entering development in 2023 and beginning playtests in 2024. Howard cited Starfield as a necessary creative break and hints at a possible surprise release strategy similar to Oblivion Remastered. The game is expected to launch on Microsoft's next gen Xbox and PC, with PS6 still uncertain. However, excuse me, guys, again, throat issues. What they're having the exclusives, all their exclusives, including Halo, release on PlayStation 5. This is most likely going to be coming to PS6, and they really give you a nice detail as to where they want their release window in this article, with saying that it's going to be coming on the next gen Xbox. Now we know that that's possibly coming in about holiday 2027, so we're probably going to see a release for this game, at least Elder Scrolls 6, probably in around holiday 2027 when the consoles are released, or possibly even 2028. We're going to have to wait and see what ends up happening here. But seeing how long this is going to be in development, excuse me, I think we're going to get a really polished and really in-depth game, probably more than we thought so, because it's going to be in a development cycle almost on par with the length of something like Red Dead Redemption and Grand Theft Auto. Maybe not this past Grand Theft Auto 6, but maybe previous Grand Theft Auto games. But let me know what you guys think about this in the comments down below. Are you worried that the game is still a long ways off, or are you hoping they take their time and really make a polished experience for you guys? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Forgive me again, guys. Gotta clear my throat. Anyways, that being said, let's move on to our next game news topic. And our next game news topic is regarding Ghost of Yotei has sold 3.3 million copies in its first month of sales, as Sony has confirmed. Let's go ahead and take a look here at this article from IGN yet again. Sony confirms Ghost of Yotei sold 3.3 million units in its first 32 days, matching early momentum for Ghost of Tsushima despite a smaller PS5 install base. With the holiday season ahead and 2026 multiplayer add-ons, excuse me, and a likely PC release, the game has multiple paths to extend its commercial success. Studio head Brian Fleming, excuse me, says the team will choose its next game after Ghost of Yotei's Legends release, maintaining its one project at a time development approach, which again we've talked about in the past, and I think that's a great approach to have for a studio like this because they just make great content and great games there at Sucker Punch. So I hope, even though I really would love to see them develop multiple games because they just make great games, the reason for them making great games is because they focus on one project at a time. So I think it makes sense for them to take their time on this. And the fact that Ghost of Yotei, while I'm sure they wanted it to do better than Ghost of Tsushima, the fact that it's matching it is also very successful because when you have a franchise and you change the protagonist, even though it's the same video game franchise, same gameplay, changing protagonists really hinders sales on games because you're not getting the same game. It's not a continuation of the story. It's almost like a refresh. So the fact that we got a whole new protagonist and this game is up holding up to what Ghost of Tsushima did, I think that's phenomenal for this team and for this game. And with the budget being similar, just goes to show how great how great this game and the development process for it was, and hopefully they continue to be successful with the release of Legends and with this game possibly releasing on PC at some point. But let me know what you guys think about this in the comments down below. Are you excited for more Ghost of Yotei, and are you surprised that it's keeping up with Ghost of Tsushima? I know a lot of people thought that it was going to not do as good, but it seems to be being on quite on par with how it did when it was released. Let me know what you guys think. All right, guys. That being said, let's go ahead and move over to our next game news topic of the day. And our next game news topic of the day is regarding the PlayStation 5 has surpassed 84 million units sold, now outselling every Xbox console in history. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. And regarding that, I'll explain more what I mean by every Xbox console in history. But let's go ahead and break this down. Sony confirms 84.2 million PS5 units sold, edging past Xbox 360's last reported total and outselling Xbox consoles up to date. Despite the high price point, PS5 has driven record revenue for Sony's game and network service division, even as it trails the PS4 5-year sales pace. Sony teases, excuse me, lost my scroll. Anyways, I found it. Sony teases vague plans for PlayStation 6 and potential handheld, while the PS5 still has major exclusives ahead, including Marvel's Wolverine in 2026. So, normally game sales go with consoles. I think the best selling console was the PlayStation 2 until the Switch surpassed it. And so now we're just seeing as PS5 has surpassed all other Xbox consoles. And it just really goes to show why Xbox is really moving away from more of a console seller with exclusives and to become more of a studio and more of a PC based streamer kind of a service. And I think it makes sense with all the different things that they have going now that PlayStation has really surpassed them in sales and all their Xbox consoles in history, even with Xbox 360, which really did really great for Xbox and really was the console to really drive home that they are a competitor with PlayStation and with Nintendo. So it's really interesting that PlayStation has surpassed them, and it's very key that this happened because of exclusive games. There's no way that Sony could have did this without the exclusivity of the games that they have. And it just goes to show why Xbox isn't doing as successful with them since they're no longer going to be having exclusives. So I'm very curious how this next generation of consoles is going to pan out when they don't have any exclusives games on their Xbox. But we're going to have to wait and see what ends up happening. Since it's going to be a, I guess, console PC hybrid. So we'll see what they end up doing there. But let me know what you guys think about this in the comments down below. Are you surprised that the PS5 has outsold the Xbox 360 and every other Xbox in history? Or does this kind of per course and typical for Sony to outsell Xbox? Let me know what you guys think. Excuse me, guys. All right, guys. That being said, let's go ahead and move over to our next game news topic of the day. And we've dropped this up to the rumor mill in the past, but it looks like we're getting a little more details as people continue to talk about it. And we're talking about currently Fallout 3 Remastered is still on the way, as reports claim. Again, I would still chalk this up to the rumor mill, but as much as people have been talking about it, it seems more and more likely that we will be getting a Fallout 3 at some point, as they just keep bringing it up, and it keeps being mentioned in the news cycles. Fallout 3 is reportedly being remastered following Todd Howard's comments about ongoing Fallout projects and its style of Oblivion remastered. Excuse me, in the style of Oblivion remastered. Despite no major announcements during Fallout Day 2025, interest in remasters, especially in New Vegas, has surges fueled by the success of the Fallout TV series. Fallout 5 remains a distant goal, with Bethesda emphasizing patience and quality over speed is a balanced development across as they balance development across Starfield, Elder Scrolls, and Fallout. So yeah, I think it's very interesting that this keeps popping up. I'm assuming there might be an announcement pretty soon, maybe at the Game Awards, because they just keep talking about it. And I'm surprised why it keeps coming up in the news cycle if they're not going to announce it. Now, maybe it's just people in the rumor mill bringing it to the forefront because they keep wanting to keep it in the eyes of Bethesda or in the mind of Bethesda so they can make a remaster. But I think it's probably certain that it's being remastered at this point since it's been talked about so much. But let me know what you guys think about this in the comments down below. Do you guys want a Fallout 3 remaster, or do you prefer a Fallout New Vegas remaster? Which one would you guys prefer, number one? And number two, which one do you think they will be remastering first if this rumor tends to be correct? All right, guys. That being said, we're going to move on from our game news topic and go ahead and move over to our movie news topics of the day. And our first movie news topic of the day is regarding Sydney Sweeney's Cherished Christian. Hold on. Christy? I cannot read. Anyway, Sydney Sweeney's Christy flops at the box office with 1.3 million opening, failing to crack the top 10. So on Monday, we read the top 10 box office for the week, and I read only the top 10, which is mostly the movies that I tend to focus on. And I didn't realize, and I kind of forgot that Sydney Sweeney's movie Christy is going to be opening up. I think it's Christy. Go ahead and take a look at this. Is this Christy or Tristy? I think it's Christy. Forgive me, I can't read and I'm retarded, but that's just what happens sometimes. Anyways, all that being said, let me read you guys some of the details here. Christy opened to just 1.305 million across 2011 theaters, making it one of the worst wide release openings ever. Despite Sydney Sweeney's praised performance as boxer Christy Martin, reviews were lukewarm and failed to generate momentum. I think this is interesting. Now, Sydney Sweeney doesn't have the star power of Dwayne The Rock Johnson, but The Smashing Machine just came out recently, and that's another fighter-based movie, but more fighter-based with drama, and that did horribly as well. So I'm curious as to why it seems fighting-based drama movies aren't doing very successful at the box office. Now, Sydney Sweeney's not a huge box office draw because I think she's also had a couple other movies that have flopped at the box office. Four currently that kind of flopped at the box office or just haven't done that well. So I'm very curious. I don't think this is a Sydney Sweeney problem. I think this is probably a marketing problem because even who I kind of pay attention to the news cycles, kind of forgot that Charity is going to be coming out this weekend. So I really forgot about that, and I think that's probably what happened to Smashing Machines as well. The marketing wasn't good, the trailers weren't good, it didn't make anyone interested, capture anyone's attention. So yeah, I just think this movie probably good. I don't know, I haven't seen it, but I think it's sad that it really did this horribly at the box office. But I don't think it's going to hinder Sydney Sweeney's career too much. But we're going to have to see how that pans out. All right, guys. That being said, let's go ahead and move over to our next movie news topic of the day. And our next movie news topic of the day is regarding Betty Boop is turns deadly in a horror reimagining called Boop ahead of the American film market. It's heading to the American film market. Seriously, excuse me, guys. I can't read today. Dyslexia's kicking in hard. But here we go. Here's the imagery for Boop. Boop reimagines Betty Boop as a vengeful spirit haunting an abandoned it's haunting an abandoned theater. Can't talk today. Targeting horror based podcasters. I guess they go to the theater probably to do a podcast there. The film is directed by Jared Cohen and stars Devaney Pinn. Devanny I think that's how you pronounce it. The film is produced by First Class Productions with focus on reclaiming boobs' power through a feminist lens. VMI Worldwide will handle international sales with production teasing Boop as a start of a larger genre driven franchise. But I do think this is interesting. So now Betty Boop has very interesting rights. So over the years, Betty Boop's design has changed. So Betty Boop's current design is not in the public domain. But the older Betty Boops, which is kind of, as you can see here a little bit in this image, her other designs are in the public domain. So her character is a little wishy washy when it comes to legal rights. And I do think it's interesting that everything that seems to be going to the public domain, when it comes to Winnie the Pooh, when it comes to what else was there? The Mickey Mouse, not exactly Mickey Mouse, but the Steamboat Willie version. Someone just always seems to make a horror movie off of them, and I'm very curious as to why it's always horror based. You know, there's a lot of other things you can do with these characters, but I just people really lean into the horror aspect of old classic movies or old classic IPs that are going into the public domain. So yeah, guys, if you're interested in those interesting B flick horror movies, it looks like Betty Boop is getting her own in a movie called Boop. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about this in the comments down below. Would it be a movie that you guys are interested in checking out? Let me know what you guys think. All right, guys. That being said, let's go ahead and move over to our next movie news topic of the day. And our next movie news topic of the day is regarding Super Mario Galaxy movie trailer is set to premiere during a surprise Nintendo Direct this Wednesday. I don't know how surprising it is, but I guess it's a surprise because they announced it currently. Let's go ahead and take a look here at this article. So, the trailer will debut on November 12th. Nintendo will unveil the first trailer for the Super Mario Galaxy during a dedicated Nintendo Direct at 6 a.m. and 9 a.m. ET, 6 a.m. PT and 9 a.m. ET, with no game content included. Following a brief teaser in September, fans anticipate appearances from Yoshi, Bowser Jr., and Rosalina, with speculations swirling around Peach's and Rosalina's backstory. Co-produced by Illumination, the film is set to hit theaters on April 3rd, 2026, continuing Nintendo's cinematic expansion through the Super Mario Bros. Movies. So yeah, guys, it looks like we are going to be getting a Nintendo Direct this Wednesday, and they're going to be showing us, which I mean is tomorrow actually, and they're going to be showing us the full trailer for the Super Mario Galaxy movie, which I think is very interesting because Nintendo has kind of done their own marketing. You know, they're not really putting it in front of anything when it comes to trailers, kind of how Avengers Doomsday is going to be doing with Avatar Fire and Ash. They're really kind of doing their own thing with Nintendo Directs, and that's been working for their game. So it makes sense that they're going to try to do this for their movie as well. So I'm curious how this is going to pan out, and maybe this will turn into something that other studios tend to do. If this is a very successful Nintendo Direct and it really brings people's interest and really amps up the viewership of the trailer in its first 24 hours more than other movies have done before, you might actually end up seeing other films do this in time. So I think that would be very interesting for films to have their own almost trailer release party, kind of how Nintendo Direct is doing. Now, it makes sense for them to do this before November 12th, and that's because we're going to be getting Wicked for Good at the end of the month, and you know this trailer is going to be playing in front of that. Seeing as it's a musical, and you get a lot of more women kind of based for a Wicked type of movie, so you really want them to see something like Mario to take their kids if they have kids, or take their family members if they have family members. So very interesting. I'm hoping this turns out to be a really great trailer, and I'm excited to see it tomorrow, and we'll possibly be talking about it tomorrow as well. But let me know what you guys think about this in the comments down below. Are you guys excited to check out the Super Mario trailer tomorrow at the Nintendo Direct? Let me know what you guys think. All right, guys, that being said, let's go ahead and move over to our next movie news topic of the day. And our next movie news topic of the day is regarding HBO Max is developing a V for Vendetta series with DC Studios and written by Peter Jackson. Oh, sorry, Pete Jackson, not Peter Jackson. That's someone completely different. My apologies. Anyways, guys, let's go ahead and take a look at this article from Variety. HBO is developing a V for Vendetta TV series with Pete Jackson. I keep saying Peter. My apologies. With Pete Jackson, written by Pete Jackson, with DC Studios James Gunn and Peter Safran executive producing alongside Warner Brothers Television. Based on Alan Moore's and David Linden's iconic dystopian comic, the series follows antagonists V and Ali Everhammond, I think that's the girl's name, in a fascist-controlled Britain. Jackson previously earned a BAFTA nomination for Somewhere Boy. I don't know what that is. I think that's a show, possibly. Anyways, the project joins HBO's growing roster of DC adaptations, including The Penguin and Lanterns, and follows the enduring legacy of the 2005 V for Vendetta film, which will return to theaters in 2026. I do think this is interesting, as this V for Vendetta graphic novel is very, very popular and people tend to love it. And I personally love the film with Hugo Weaving playing V. And I think this would be awesome to see as a TV series, because they could really expand on the lore and expand on the story in a way that the film didn't do. There's certain movies and certain stories that can be told in movies and they can turn out great. And I think a great example of that is the Harry Potter series. The films are absolutely phenomenal and they really tell a phenomenal story, and we really fell in love with the cast and everything being told. But now that they're doing the Harry Potter TV series on for HBO, we're really going to get more in depth of what more accurate toward the book and more details that the book had. And I think you can get the same thing happening here for V for Vendetta with an awesome TV series like this. Now, V for Vendetta doesn't have crazy, CGI or crazy graphics, and it's not going to be too damn expensive to produce. It's not on the par of Harry Potter, or not on par of Game of Thrones when it comes to, excuse me, visual effects and dragons and things like that. But what an awesome story that you can be told. And kind of like what they did with Mandalorian, having stunt actors do the performance of the Mandalorian, and having um, an actor voice it. You can really do the same thing here for V. I would love to see Hugo Weaving return to voice this character, only because his voice is so just iconic as in the role. And I think I really, every time I see this mask, all I hear is Weaving's voice talking in the way that he only he can talk. But let me know what you guys think about this in the comments down below. Are you guys going to be excited for a V for Vendetta TV series? Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. All right, guys. That being said, let's go ahead and move over to our last movie news topic of the day. And our last movie news topic of the day is regarding a Sigourney Weaver teases return as Ripley with Walter Hill's very different Alien sequel script. Looks like for some reason this one is not this article is not opening up for me. Let me go ahead and try something real quick. There we go. All right. So I got it opened up for you. So it looks like Sigourney Weaver confirms that Walter Hill has written and excuse me, scroll here, has written and completed a 50-page treatment for a new Alien sequel exploring Ripley's future in a society that has sidelined her. Uh, Sigourney Weaver describes the concept as extraordinary and distinct from the past entries, suggesting a departure from traditional action horror tropes like airshaft chases. Interest in aliens remains strong with recent projects like Alien Earth, while Sigourney Weaver reflects on the scrapped Blumkamp, excuse me, Blumkamp sequel, and remains open to Hill's evolving vision. So the question here is, if you don't know, there was a script by Blumkamp, that the director, I forget his first name, but Neil Blumkamp is his name, and it kind of ignored Alien 3 and everything beyond that. It really kind of refreshed that and reintroduced like um, Newt and all that stuff. So I'm not sure if this is going to be based off of that concept, or if they're going to do something completely different. And I don't know if they're going to ignore Alien 3 or go all the way up to Alien 5. It all depends on what they're going to end up doing with the script. But I would absolutely love to see Sigourney Weaver return as Ellen Ripley. Every time someone says we don't get movies, or there was in the past there was never a movie with strong females, I always point to Alien and Aliens, as Sigourney Weaver not only really emphasized a powerful woman, but also a motherly figure, and something a mother would do to go out of her way to protect her child, and how powerful that could be in a female character, and how she really just emphasized that character in the movie Aliens. I really love her, and all the Alien movies afterwards, even up to Resurrection. I love every Alien movie with Sigourney Weaver is absolutely phenomenal. at least her performance. Maybe not the movie as a whole, but her in it is great. Even Alien 3, which no one really likes. I like it because of Sigourney Weaver herself. I think she's a phenomenal actress and she deserves to have a franchise like this. Send her off with merit. You know, I hate when we have great actors and roles that we absolutely love them in, and then the movies don't hold up to the character that they provide. So I would love to see her be sent off. We even if she dies in the movie, it don't matter. As long as we have a beautiful goodbye with Ellen Ripley and Sigourney Weaver portraying her, I think that would be absolutely phenomenal. After what we see with Alien Romulus, after what we just seen with Predator Badlands, her returning to the Alien franchise, and to even see her possibly team up with an alien and a predator, to possibly see her team up with Arnold Schwarzenegger's Dutch at some point, that would all be absolutely wonderful. Now, I know that's just a hope and dream. I don't care if it's just an alien movie, but just to see Sigourney Weaver portray Ellen Ripley again is an absolute dream of mine. So hopefully that's something we can get going and on the table. And I would have loved to see Blumkamp's take on an Aliens 3 movie with Sigourney Weaver re-portraying her role. But I'm not sure what this is going to be. If it's going to be an Aliens 5, if it's going to be an Alien 4, if it's going to be a new Alien 3. It all depends on what they do. So I'll be very curious how this all pans out in the long haul. But to know that she's possibly going to be returning is the best part of this story in my. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Would you guys like to see Sigourney Weaver return as Ellen Ripley? Or would you guys like her to move on from the franchise and have aliens move on? Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. And all right, guys, that's a wrap for today's episode of the Truly Odd Podcast. Thank you guys so much for joining me. If you like this episode, please like and subscribe. And always remember, guys, stay true, be odd.